So another type of collection we'll be talking about, we've talked about lists, right? We've talked about tuples. We're going to be talking about the Python set. So a Python set is a collection which is unordered and unindexed. So just like we talked about the list and the tuples, which are list and tuple are ordered, but the list is changeable, but the tuple is unchangeable. But here now we have it that Python sets are unordered and then are unindexed. That means if you have a list of items that are actually a set, they are just placed randomly. They are not being put in a particular position, or like 1 2 3. They're just being scattered randomly. So this is how we denote we use curly braces. We use curly braces or curly brackets to denote Python sets. So I'm going to take away these guys here. I'm still using my example fruits, so I'm going to change this round bracket to curly braces. So this is how we denote a Python set in a set in our Python. So if I say print fruits, it's going to print fruits for me, and then I come below and say print type fruits, then save it. I'll come here and run my code. So are you seeing it's printing what? It printed my items I have stored in the variable fruit, and also it told me under that it's what? It is a class of set. So this is how we denote set in Python, as a means of storing data in a particular task that we are doing. So just like we mentioned in other ones, we can still assess we talked about in this set. You can't be able to say, just like we assess lists using index based, we can assess sets using indexing based, because we already said initially that it is unordered and it is unindexed. So we can use, if you listen carefully in our previous class, when we were mentioning about assessing something using ranges, right? So we can actually pass in x in fruits. Can say x in fruits, right? I'll then say, okay, I want to use a for, sorry, I'll say for x in fruit, then print x. So I assigned another variable, another value as fruit. I said, okay, for x, if I'm trying to assess this, I'm trying to loop it and also assess it. So this is how a for works for a for loop, when we talked about looping. So I'm going to now save it. Are you seeing? We're assessing what we have stored inside this variable fruit. So this is how we assess items in sets. So we can still use we can still add items, right? Add items to this set using add method. So when I say add method, let me take away this guy here. I'll then come here below here and say fruit dot add is a method. So I'll now say I want to add something, then I will now call in whatever I want to add. I might call pineapple. Then I'll come below here and say print fruit. Save it. Come to my terminal. And run the code. Are you seeing I have what? I have pineapple there. So you can choose to add so many things if as you want. Using add, it's going to work for you. I can still add another thing, print. I can still say fruit, or I can still add multiple things here, comma, grape. Let me use grape, save it, then come here. Okay, it doesn't accept multiple things, so I'm actually going to create another thing, double it. Let me duplicate it, then adding grape here, and then save it. Then are you seeing I have my grape? And one thing you should notice, if you come to this last output in my terminal, you should notice something. If you see here, initially I had cherry, apples. So if you see here now, it's a random something. That is, the values assigned to a particular variable in sets are randomly placed. They are not ordered, just like we mentioned initially. So this is how set works for you. So we can actually check the length of set, just like we've done before. We can actually remove something from it. When I say remove, I'm now passing the name of what I want to remove, just like we have performed in our list. If I say so, we have other, we can use delete, just like we used pop, remove. We can use delete to delete. When we say del fruit, it deletes everything complete. And if we now say print fruit, it will throw a name error whereby it shows that we don't have any memory or any variable in the memory stored as fruit. So this is how it works. So we have this, just like we talked about the constructors, we also have the set constructors, which we can use to create, instead of manually creating our sets by ourselves, we can just pass in constructors to create those things for us. So I'm going to take away this guy and then call in fruit or call in places, and then pass in a constructor set, then pass in these two, and then say, I'll still say Lagos or Lagos. Let me use Lagos. Then pass in Kogi, passing Ebonyi, then save this guy. If I come here, I'm going to type in two things here. I'm going to say print places, then I'll then say here below it, I'll say print type, and then pass in my variable places there, places. So once I save it and then come to this place and run my code, so are you seeing we have what we've created? We've created a set, and if you see here, we have it below here as a class of what? Of a set. So this is what constructor does for us. So another type of collections we'll be talking about, the last type of collection we'll be talking about, is the dictionary. We've talked about the list, talked about the tuple, talked about the set, and we're talking about dictionary. So dictionary, this is how we represent dictionary in Python. A dictionary is a collection which is unordered, is changeable, and it's indexed. So the only difference there is that it is unordered. So, and it's changeable. So you can mute it. It's mutable. So this is how I can call dictionary as, okay, let me not use a keyword. I can say X equal to, passing a curly braces, then this is the format which you write a dictionary. Passing, either use a single quote or a double quote. I'll pass in brand, I'll say brand of wine. We call it whiskey. Then I'll pass in a comma and then pass in another thing there. I might say name. Sorry, I'll then call my name, pass in my name as Blessing. So I'm just going to make use of those two, and then I will say print X. Print X. I'm printing X. So I'm coming here to print X. So are you seeing here? It's displaying for me below what I have here. This is the dictionary. This is how we write dictionary, the syntax in which we use in writing dictionary in Python. So I'm going to say type and then pass in X inside there and then save it and run it on my terminal. So it's telling me what? A class of what? A class of dictionary. So we can access, just like we've been accessing other collections, we can access this guy using what we call the get method. We use the get method to access a dictionary. So let me clear my terminal and make it new. So I'm going to now say, using my get method, I will then say X as another variable, or let me say W equal to X dot get. I want to get what I have inside my brand, right? So it's a variable, so I'm going to put it inside a quote, brand. So I'm saving it, and then let's run our code. So I'm going to, so before I run the code, if you don't print, it's not going to work. I'm going to print my W. So I'll then come to my terminal and run this guy. So are you seeing what we have? We have here, we have whiskey. So I'm trying to, let me take away this guy so we can be able to see what we have here clearly. So I'm going to save it and then come here, run my code. So we're having what? Whiskey. So this is how we get items. So if I still pass in name, I'll still get my name. This is how we get each items in dictionary. So we can actually check the length of what we have. So when I pass in length, inside here, I'll be able to get what I have. Let me comment on this guy. So I'm going to pass in print directly. I'll say length, then call my X, call my X inside it. So then I will run my code. We're having two, so we're having two items being passed in inside the variable X. So this is how we check for the length. So we can still remove items, just like we checked. We can still remove items. We can use delete to remove items. We can specify what we actually want to delete. We can still delete everything. So for example, I will say del X passing this, and then passing a block, and then passing the name of, okay, yes, I'm passing in, I want to remove brand. So I want to remove brand, so I'm going to save this guy and then say print X. Save this guy here. So you see what we have here? We have name being displayed as the only thing we have in our dictionary, because I've already deleted the brand. So this is because initially we mentioned that a dictionary in Python, that dictionaries in Python are actually unordered. That was why we, instead of using indexing, that is one to refer to it, we actually call the name of what we have because it is unordered. So we've actually talked about how to remove it using the delete, that is the del. We can still remove using pop. So we remove items using pop. So when we remove items, you can still space it, just like it's just the same syntax of what we did for delete. You can try it, but you have to now call this guy here and then say, let me take away this guy here. Normally if I run my code, I'm going to run this code. Normally if I run this code, print X is going to display everything for me because I've taken away the syntax of what I wrote for delete. So I'm going to now run it. It's giving me everything I have here, right? So I'm going to now try to use pop to work. I'm trying to use pop to work. So I'm going to say x.pop. Then I pass in, I want to take away my name, so it's in a string. So I'm going to put here, save it, and then come here. Oh, I didn't say print x. I'll say print x because the other print x is for displaying of everything I have before. So I'm going to say print x and then come here and run my code. So are you seeing it has taken away what? It has taken away brand. It has taken away name, and we're having brand left behind. So this is what pop does for us. So we can actually use what we call pop items, right? We use pop items instead of pop. Pop is for removing anything. We can pass in a variable inside it. So we have pop items. Pop items is for taking away the last. If you remember when we talked about pop in sets, it removes the last thing in a set of values, right? So here I'm going to say print. Normally I'm going to have everything displayed x. So I'm now, for us to be sure of what we have here, so I'm going to clear this terminal for us to see it clearly. Clearing this terminal. So I have here the list of items I have in my dictionary, right? So I'm trying to pass in the pop item. So I have x. I have x here. I have x dot pop items. Are you seeing it displaying for me what I have here? So pop items, I'm going to pass in. It's a method, but it doesn't take in anything. So it doesn't take in anything. So I'm going to now say print x. I'm printing x. So I have my code running here. So are you seeing it's the firstly display what I have here generally, and then it's now taking away the last thing I have, the last item I have. That is what pop item does for you. For the pop, it's you pass in something inside it, but for the pop item, it takes away the last item you have in a dictionary. So this is what we talked about pop, we talked about del. So we'll be talking about clear. We also use clear. We can use clear to empty the dictionary. When we use clear clears out everything. It takes away everything from the dictionary. So just like we've talked about constructors in other threes, so we also have constructors for what? For dictionary. So we pass in constructors for dictionary. So I have here, this is how we denote constructors for dictionary. Can pass in w equal to dict. So dict, then I then pass in my round bracket again. I then say I will then call, okay, I want to pass in things. I'm going to say brand, I'll say brand, okay. Just going to use two examples. Brand, I have brand, I'm going to use brand of cars, right? So I have brand equal to, okay, brand, yeah, brand equal to Ford. I'm going to call Ford car, Ford. Then I put a comma and then say model passing 2016. Then I say yay or anything I want to pass in. I'm going to use these two examples. I'm not really a fan of cars, so I'm going to now say print what, print W. So taking away this guy here, print W, save it. Then, so are you seeing here we have our dictionary? Are you seeing here we have our dictionary brand Ford, and we have the other one model 2016. So this is how we use dictionary constructors to create a dictionary in our Python. So we've already talked about a summary of what we've talked about. We've talked about the list, we've talked about collections, and we said these collections, once we are familiar with them, understanding them properly will help us to choose the right collections. Just like we mentioned, for example, I mentioned in tuple that tuple it's unmutable, right? So if you check now, let me say in the future you're actually working with a set of data collections that you want to really secure, that you don't want someone to tamper with. You can use tuples, and when you create that particular thing, it can't be changed. That means once it's changed, it denotes an error saying that it doesn't assign. So this is how all these collections works. You can choose to use a particular collection that will give you the best results based on the task you're working. So we are going to be done for this particular topic.